Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining me today. It's just mind blowing how different the energy is now from what it was a week ago. So I did that last reading on Tuesday, I believe it was, of last week. And there was a lot, we were talking about that sort of void space that a lot of us were feeling where there wasn't a whole lot of clarity, but that it was more about just this sort of quiet embodiment and integration of the energies that we were in, the new earth energies. And since that time, by the end of the week, by Sunday, it was like so glaringly clear that a large portion of people, maybe not large, but a small percentage of people, which is actually quite large when you think about the effect that even just a small percentage of people have when they're in that alignment, a large percentage of people stabilizing in that field, therefore stabilizing the field. Okay, so this huge shift in the palpability of this new energy. And as we're moving into this new year as well, and this new frequency, numerologically and energetically as well, moving out of the year of the snake, wrapping up the sort of shedding that we're doing. Okay, and that's still going on as well. And so while we're stabilizing here, more and more of the shedding. And so that's what's interesting, is always the polarity where you see a huge uptick in expansion. You're gonna see the opposite in contraction. And so we were talking about that a few readings ago. The last time there was a huge, like, where a lot of us were feeling that third eye clearing, and a lot of information coming online around co-creation and around the extreme importance of taking the responsibility and realizing our birthright and responsibility of harnessing and paying attention to what we're focusing on, what stories we're telling, the words that we're using, and how we're framing things, what we're focusing on, what we're giving our energy to, and realizing that we're creating not only our realities, but the new earth reality in doing that. And so that was connected to the boundaries as well, where we had to really shore up our energy, where we weren't leaking, so that we could have, or looking outside of ourselves at things that aren't relevant, things that aren't true anymore, so that we can move into this new earth energy. So this real sort of like cracking of the whip in a way, I'm feeling those crunches on all levels, but it felt like another expansion or up leveling just through this last weekend. And then right after that, this interesting thing has been this interesting shift. So I'm just feeling this right now, and I'm going to talk about it like right through my own experience very, very recently, and we'll see if this is matching up with other people. But so last night, so last night I got together with a group of people, and also communing with a lot of my sisters, soul sisters, who are experiencing very similar things, even if they had been in a lot of density for a long time, just having real effortlessness with the boundaries, where it's like all of a sudden you get the energetics intact, and you're not attracting in the very divine catalysts that were really only there to get you to seal up those boundaries, right? So real effortless energetic boundaries, noticing changes in the hologram, having it be really easy to harness your focus and to have, all the things, and just not falling down the pitfalls or stepping on the landmines of fear or doubt or negativity or victim consciousness or lack or limitation. It's like the dominant neural pathway being one of remembering that sovereignty, or viewing through the eyes of your connection through your divinity, where you can't feel like a victim, and you can't view through lack and limitation. Like something could happen, like me, for example, in losing my government aid, and yet the energetics behind it felt like expansion, it felt like opportunity, it felt like excitement. So the human part of me that may have wanted to worry or to, scheme or whatever, just didn't even fire, because the dominant neural pathway was the energetic. It was the energetic, right? And so a lot of us stabilizing in that. That's how we're stabilizing in this new energy. Our first response is the energy rather than the fear. Okay, so this tipping point with this. Okay, so anyway, last night I saw, I was with a group of people, and I saw a friend of mine that was sharing the same thing. We hadn't seen each other in a while, and we have both been, we do a lot of work in the astral, and we've done a lot of work with the cleanup, and we've done the sewer crawls, and we've done the alchemies through our body and gone through the trials and initiations, and she's up leveled as well. She's taken on even more than I have in that regard, and she's just in this completely new space, which is amazing and miraculous, because when it shifts that much, you know that it's palpable and that it's the energy, and it's not just a fluke, because I've been watching her and holding space for her for I don't know, a year, 2 years. Yeah, 2 years now. So anyway, I saw her and we were in a group of people and we were doing a Peruvian whistling vessel ceremony. Okay. And so it was the first one that I had ever done. And so we were blowing these whistles and we were, and it was very clear that it was aligning the energy and that it was clearing things and that it was, there was just this open channel. And so we did this for however long we did it. I don't know. I had no track of time. And then at the very end, we were wrapping up and all of this. So mind you, we're in this very balanced, open space, and somebody started talking about the flu, this flu thing that's going around and how many people are dying. So, dying and all this sort of like, so we're in this frequency, right? We're in this openness. We're in this balance. Everything's just been reconfigured. And I thought, God, wouldn't it have been amazing if we would have like channeled together then, or like reached into limitlessness, or reached into co-creation, all these things, and anchored together in that field and anchored that in that field. But see, the thing is nothing is a mistake and nothing is an aberration. Like everything's in service to the light. So this fear topic was introduced into that sacred space. Okay. And immediately I felt the frequency of that, of that flu, of that experience. I felt the frequency of it. It's almost like in Lord of the Rings where Frodo puts the ring on his finger and then all of a sudden the eye can see him, where it's just like, oh, I've identified you. It was like that for me, just because I'm really attuned to energies. It's like, as soon as we mentioned it, and especially in that really open channel, I could feel the rogue signal of that, just very similar to COVID, the rogue signal. It's like it's just a rogue signal. It has a certain patterning in its energetic signature. I felt that and I thought, oh my gosh, okay. So I went home and I just sort of cleared and I went to bed and I woke up in the middle of the night. And I felt it again. And it came in. And so what it does, and so it was such wonderful information for me. Okay. And I did defragging and I went into those pathways and I lit the lanterns, which is exactly what I did with the COVID thing as well. And with the fear programs that rode in on that. Okay. So everything's in service to the light. So that woman that brought that up was playing her cosmic role. It's like how we all shape shift into whatever needs when you're in service and you're here to be in service. You shapeshift into whatever needs to be spoken or said or embodied for the greatest and highest good. Okay. So I brought that home with me, woke up in the middle of the night, felt it again. And so what it did is it just like wobbled my whole field like this. So it wobbled my nervous system. It wobbled my energetic body, my mental body and my emotional body. And I tracked it all at once. And so because I've been in this super, and a lot of us, okay, remember the new field is stabilized. Okay, so there are enough of us anchored and anchoring it that it's becoming easier to defrag. I'm getting chills, to defrag these false programs. And so that's why I'm saying, again, everything's in service to the light, because it was so important to do that, and important to do that right after my vessel had been really aligned through the beautiful harmonics of that acoustic medicine. And so anyway, I felt it come in, but I was like, I had my own all-seeing eye. I had the one mind eye that we're all tapping into and networking into as we're stabilizing this field. So I saw those different levels and was just like, absolutely not. And so what I always say is, this is not the reality that I'm choosing to create. And I revoked any consent, null and void all contracts or vows I may have made consciously or unconsciously throughout all time and space at any point in my journey to align with and enable and feed this energy and this type of frequency and distortion. And I just asked my higher self to clear me, because I have been sleeping, clear me of any, energies and entities and things that are not in the high school. I did all the clearing, and basically it was just like, not today, Satan. And went back to sleep. And it took like 5 minutes. Now, 4 years ago, when I first started doing this work, I might have been awake with insomnia and night terrors for, 6 weeks in a row, So the fact that it took me 5 minutes. So again, it's like the Atlas, the Atlas and the other interstellar consciousnesses that are assisting us, where we're at in the cycle of the ages, where we're at in the solar, coming off the solar maximum, everything that we've osmosed through the gifting of our sun and all the geomagnetic stormings and the flares, all this perfectly positioned to defrag this energy. So I feel really guided to talk about this right now and to have witness in this and to have, again, our one mind in this higher energy that we're stabilizing to help anchor and ground this. Okay. So I went to bed, I fell asleep. And when I woke up in the morning, I felt like I had been to war. Like I felt like I could tell that my nervous system was jacked up. And I remembered little bits of my dreams. I remember there were several men that were like mentally ill that were seeking me out for support. And they were like, not mentally ill in like a normalized way where, like there are so many mentally ill, like people around, but in a way where their energy was like this, right? So it was like this. So it was similar to that, the distorted, so it was masculine, the distorted masculine energy that was sort of like unraveling itself, but that was seeking support. So there were a lot of sort of like clues about what was going on. But when I woke up, I was just like, oh my God, and I had to like, sometimes I'll visually wrap myself in like big white wings, like really big white wings. And I did that. And I was like doing all my things this morning. And I just spent like, I don't know, it could have been an hour. It could have been 5 hours. I don't know. It was just like, I just paced around my house. I paced around in this room. There's like such a circuitry in this room. And I was just channeling. I pace because when I pace, I channel better. I think that's why I move so much and use my hands. It's like I'm a kinesthetic person. I'm a moving Shakti energy, right? So anyway, I was just like channeling and getting the download and just like anchoring this energy and all this. But there was a part of me that was like, what the heck happened overnight, And so I trusted, and I just affirmed it all again. I cleared my energy again, and I asked for assistance in clearing my energy, and I revoked consent, and I null and voided vows, and all these things. And when I was in that channel, it was like this thing of like, I saw you, I see you. You did not slip past my boundaries. You did not infiltrate me. You did not become signal or energetic or physical code. It's like you were stopped. And so I dedicated that infiltration out into the etheric and energetic field for people who may, because what it does is it rattles your system and it weakens, any places in you that might not be shored up. It almost like hooks onto all of them and then like pulls, like it entangles and pulls. That's what it feels like to me, so that it creates this network that it can then implant itself in. Sounds crazy, but if you're viewing through an energetic realm viewpoint, that it's clear, it's clear, it's visible. It's just viewing through a different lens. And so anyway, it does that. And so if you don't have the habit or the practice of clearing your energy or commanding your space, or if you haven't been doing the shadow work and sealing up all these the places of weakness or the self-abandonment, or hi kitty, or the ways you're she's gonna scratch your post, or the ways that you enable distortion or feed it, or all these things. If you haven't, don't quite have the mastery with that yet, you can be susceptible to it. So, and a lot of people don't have that yet, because it's not. We can't all, it's like, again, I always talk about this, we go in waves, and some people kind of stay back, and it's not that they're behind. It's like they're playing a different service. They're stabilizing the former grid while we move into the other one, so that we can have an easy transition. It's like everybody's playing their place. And so, but there are enough of us infiltrating these systems, these fear programs, and defragging them, and then putting that signal into the field. So I dedicated that out into the field, this morning, and really feeling that. Okay, so this is reminding me of something else. I think I'll interrupt myself here for a moment. A lot of people are, so whereas some of us have worked through deprogramming the fears around death and dying, other people have worked around and are working now this as well on the survival programs, the survival fears, because we've been surviving within the false grid. So it's the same thing with me with the food stamps. It's like, oh shit, my survival, my money, how am I going to do this? But what we're being asked to do, whether it's in relation to death or in relation to survival in terms of our homes or money or providing for ourselves, is to completely surrender, because it's like a plant that's being repotted. We're coming up and we're coming into we're coming into the garden. We're not going into a pot. We're going into the garden, with the perfect lighting and all this. And so, but we're our roots right now are kind of going like this, right? So to surrender and to know that you are being placed, and that you will be held, and to lean into cosmic law. And so that's where it's so important. Like where last night when we were in this energy, and we could all individually or as a group collectively have been tuning into that limitlessness, and that the abundant universe will provide when you're aligned with it, rather than the fear. But in this process, we have to release and cut the cords to the seal off the leaks to the fear, because it can't come with us. So it's where we're at. We're in that phase of transition, and so that's why last night, instead of anchoring all this, we had to do a piece with releasing that fear, that I then brought home and did, and then dedicated out, right? So that woman, she did her part, she did her part, even though she wasn't doing it consciously, it all spirit moves through exactly as it needs to. And, cause there's no victim and there's no accident. Okay. So, but anyway, those, survival fears, around, and then worrying about money, or maybe you need to hustle, or maybe you need to do this or that. But the more we can relax and let go and surrender, the more our birthright. And it's like, I always use the cucumber analogy, or the tomato, or any vegetable or fruit, there are all these seeds. It's like the nature of this realm is one of abundance, and one of spreading the seeds and having them come up more than you can even realize. But you have to be in alignment and attuned to that to that reality. To that reality. If you're playing the old game, you're playing the lack and limitation and victim consciousness, separation consciousness game, then that's what you're going to experience. And that's where our co-creations are so important, our focus, realizing that we choose our own adventure through our focus and our beliefs. So to believe, no matter what it looks like, or what it feels like in your body, or what it looks like in your outer hologram, that your needs are always met in abundance. And you always have what you need when you need it. And you can surrender to that and release into that. And it's, again, we create off of what we believe, and we have to believe it before we see it. And so it's like, and I heard this analogy, it was Story Waters. I don't know if you've ever come upon him. This was like a decade ago, and I was listening to this guy named Story Waters, and he said, telling the human to surrender to divine flow, or however he said it, that's how I say it right now in this moment, is like telling the human to take their hands off the wheel going 90 miles per hour down the road, and it's like, oh God, how do you do that? And yet, or it's like, jump off the cliff to find out that you have wings. But that's the point, and that's the threshold that we're at right now. Okay, and so that's the mastery that I had last night when I felt that scary energy come in, where the point of it has a scary frequency, because its intention comes from a extreme separation, which is scary. It has a scary frequency because it doesn't have the frequency of love. If it doesn't feel like love, then it's separate. It thinks it's separate, and therefore it's not true. It's a lie. It's false. It's a presentation. It's a haunted house. It's a haunted house, and you just walk through it, and you just know that it's not real, right? You walk through it and you know that it's not real, and you put all of your eggs in the basket of consciousness, because we're learning, and more people are anchoring this into the field, so it's becoming easier. So if you are someone who hasn't done a lot of shadow work yet, or if you haven't been one that's gone through a lot of these initiations, you're not going to have to go through 4 years of it like I or others did. It's going to be way, way easier, and we did that to make it easier for the collective. And so for you, if that is you, if this is speaking to you, you'll be able to osmosis, and that's always been the plan. And again, you've been playing your role perfectly as well. It's just, so this is where we're at. there was a whole other level of bleed through the energetic and the etheric realms of that stabilization. Okay. And so but just that encouragement to remember to focus and to believe in the truth of the abundance, and to believe in the energy that you might be feeling behind the fear and the doubt, if you're at that point where you can get outside of it, or if you are in listening to music or in nature or doing some kind of ceremony or something, or some technique or something that aligns your energy. Feel into that realm, and maybe journal it or write it down or paint it or do something to anchor it, so that if you are, this is what I used to do when I was wobbling on the threshold. It's like I when I was in a clear space, I would do something physical, or I would usually write it down, and I'd write it down on the notes on my phone with like big highlights. And then when I'd be wobbling, I'd go back and I'd read that, and it would raise my energy back into that connection again, and that viewpoint where I could climb my way back every time I'd fall. And every time you fall and you climb your way back, you strengthen that neural pathway, so you can celebrate your you can celebrate your falls, because you will get out again, even if it takes you a while. And every time you pull yourself out, you're strengthening that neural pathway even more. And so the back and forth is very, very important, because it's the pulling yourself out and the remembering, no matter how long it takes you. But little things like that, like mantras, or even like I often put things in my house, like I have like a crow right there that symbolizes something from a dream, and I have things over here in these shelves, and like all these things that anchor energy, that are represented to a realization or a dream or something, and then anchoring it in your house, so that you, just an idea, so that you have reflections of your higher consciousness all around you, to help remind you, even just subliminally. All these little things that we can do, or songs or music, or even movies, or things that you can do to speak to your subconscious again, because sometimes you just can't. Sometimes if you're in an alchemy, or you're in that fear again, for the purpose of pulling out to strengthen that neural pathway, sometimes you need to plant little reminders around, or affirmations around your house, something to be like, oh yeah, that's right, I forgot, and you can kind of remember that other frequency, that other dimension that you were in before, and so we're bridging our way. And maybe most of you, or all of you that are listening to this, have already done that, and you're like, yeah, like you remember that journey, you remember how freaking hard it was. Or if you're embarking on it now, the codes in this, right, through coming through somebody who's walked that path and has that integrated, and the transmissions in that. So may you receive that, and may it be helpful to you if you need that. And so back to the story. Woke up, did the whole channel thing, dedicated all that out, and then I had all this free time because things got rearranged and my daughter wasn't here and blah blah blah. And I was like, I really wanted to talk to my one friend that I haven't talked to in a little while. So we leave each other voice messages, even though we live right next door. And so I was leaving her I left her like a short message, and then I was like, oh, I'm just going to send this to you. And then I started another one. Anyway, in between, I ended up telling her about my night, and I told her about my dreams, and I told her, before she even heard that, she messaged me back, and she's like, oh, I was going to message you today too, because you were my dream last night. And she's like, but I can't remember what the dream was. And she was like, I just know that it was really playful. And I was like, huh. And I was thinking about that, and I was like, wow, that feels really, because she's psychic, and we dream together all the time. We've been dreaming together for like 14 years, and we bring each other messages and stuff like that. And so, and we're always kind of like working the realms together. We live right next door to each other, so we can feel when there's like weird energies, and we powwow about them, and we clear them together, and we work together, and we've been dear friends for a very long time. And so anyway, so I was like, wow, I'm like, that's really good news for me that I was playful, because when I woke up, I was like, I don't know what happened. I just feel like I was working really hard, and I'm kind of exhausted, and like, man, I was intense. Like I woke up serious, I felt like serious. And so when she said I was playful, I was like, wow. I was like, you know what? I was like, it was just so reassuring to me. And it was confirming to me that my higher self, what I was doing behind the scenes, knew what she was doing, and she was doing it through play. And I am a very playful person. I came in very old and very young. I'm going to be 50 next week, in a week from today. And I still feel like I'm 7, and I still act like I'm 7 a lot of times. I'm eternally youthful. I have Fae energy in me, and I'm also very, very old. I came in an old soul. And so she reminded me of my my true eternal nature was just very, very playful and mirthful. And I've gone through some really dark, crazy, insane trials that I didn't even know were possible. And I've also managed to have a sense of humor through them, so it's something that I carry with me. So she reminded me of that. And then later, she still hasn't heard about my night yet. She wrote, because she had something she had to do, but she wrote back and she was like, oh yeah, I remembered you were tearing up pieces of paper and you were like laughing and throwing them in the air. And I was like, that's exactly what I was doing. I was tearing up these false contracts. I was tearing up these rogue false versions of reality that aren't even true, but that convince us that we're true and affect our nervous system and our body and our thoughts and our emotions and our habits and our perspective and the stories that we tell, so that we create them, so that we make them real, because we're the creators. We're the powerful creators. And so all that those false little stories can do is manipulate us into creating for them. And I know a lot of you are well onto that awareness. And so, so I was tearing up these little pieces of paper. So I knew exactly what it meant. It was also deep confirmation for me that I had done what I intended to do, what I felt that I was doing. I was confused because I cleared it so quickly and I went back to bed, but then it seemed to have gone on all night long, right? So it was just that behind the scenes work. So, okay, I ran out of things. I think that was all that I wanted to say. I'm going to jump into the cards now and see what else wants to come through in these energies. Let's see what wants to be said just about now. Oh my God, that's so great. Sandpaper spirit, be playful. Exactly. None of this is actually real. None of the scary things are real. The only thing that's real is this. I remember when I was with the ocean this past summer, and I met Sandpiper through this card. I didn't even know Sandpiper was a thing. And they were on the beach and I met these Sandpipers and they were so cute the way they walked, and I just watched them for an entire week and had their energy around me. And it was such a beautiful transmission and download right at a time when I was really making a huge shift and jump in frequency at that time. So the Sandpiper, and that shift was, again, it's like all of the false reality, all of the fear programs, all of the rogue signals that can become code in our bodies, in our energetic or physical, only can if we allow them, only can if we believe in them. And so it's that simple thing of, if it doesn't feel playful and light and like love, it's just not true. It's a false reality. It's a false contract. And just because it's all around us and woven into all of the institutions and systems of our society doesn't mean it's true. It just means that they really tricked us. They really tricked us, and that we keep recreating and feeding. And that's what a lot of people are doing now, is we're pulling out our attention and our energy and our belief in that system. And the fact that the system is falling at the same time, and we're losing our government aid, or we're losing our whatever, what was I was going to say like industrialized, like factory worker, cow, sheep, chattel jobs or ways of being in the world is because we're being invited into the garden. We're being invited where we have to surrender and know and believe and see through the lens of that being the truth of reality, because that's the key. I'm having this synchronicity with keys lately. That's the key into that garden, is just our belief, and being vigilant. Like, even if something feels really scary, is and that's what I was saying about that frequency. It jacks up our energy. It jacks up our nervous system. It gets the looping patterns thinking. It gets the fear going. It's still not real. If it doesn't feel good, it's not real. It's that simple. And just having the discipline and the conviction and the audacity and the confidence and the self-love to say no, absolutely not. And just having some again, ready phrases, maybe in a journal or in a on your phone or whatever, journal. We don't want our phones in the middle of the night, but I did have mine in the night when I was going through that, because it helped me to just anyway, something to bring you back, something to remind you and anchor you, because the anchors and the plugs and the hooks in the false reality are so strong, and they're woven through the lineage, and they're woven through all the everything, the educational system, the medical system, the spirituality, even the unconventional spirituality still have this all woven in, right? So it's just everywhere, but just knowing that enough people are stabilizing in this this garden space, that when you jump, if you haven't already, when you start putting all your eggs in the basket of this consciousness, it's not gonna feel so freaking scary because there's so many other eggs in there. Not only are there eggs in there are people in there living in there. And so it's like you're gonna look over across that bridge and you're gonna be like, oh, there's a whole community over here. Okay, I can easily walk over, but if you're one of the people that went first, that wasn't how it was for you. You thought you were going to fall off the end of the earth and die and go crazy. And it can still feel like that. It can still feel like that because it's like, it's just starting to stabilize and there are just people starting to live there. It's still very, very new, but it's going to feel lighter and fresher. So again, every time that something comes up that wobbles us, like this new weapon, this new thing that's going to kill us, whatever. It's like, sorry, folks, game is over. We've already been there, done that. And enough people have woken up that it's just being defragged and it's being dissolved. And it's just another catalyst into greater and greater awakening and immunity. Your belief and your conviction and your confidence is your immunity. Your immunity is your belief in the truth of reality and playfulness and that none of it is, it's not actually real and it's not so serious. It's just, what is it, that Alan Watts thing, like the universe dressed up? I forget, what is it? It's like it tapped you. You tapped yourself. You dressed up as the bad guy, tapped yourself on the shoulder and said, boo, and then laughed when you scared yourself, like that. It's just us waking up. It's just us waking up. And the more we can be in this playful, relaxed energy, the more we're going to be connected to, because fear contracts us. It contracts us. And I see it in energy sessions all the time. It's like where the energy is contract, it can't flow. It can't, whether it's from an injury or a trauma or a looping pattern, wherever there's contraction, the energy can't flow. And where the energy can't flow, the cerebral spinal fluid can't flow, which is the carrier in physical body terms. It's the carrier for our higher selves, for the messages that we receive, for the guidance on how to respond to something physical in our body or something outward in our outer lives, or our guidance system. So the more we can play and relax, no matter what is going on, the more things can flush through. And that's the other thing. It's like when you feel something weird in your body or you feel something weird in your life, rather than, oh no, something's wrong, let me go solve it, or let me Google or go try to find out what's wrong with me, then we calcify the energy, we fixate the energy, right? And then we're creating we're creating the thing we Googled, or the thing that we're told is wrong with us in that moment, or the issue that we're having with somebody else in the outer world, and we obsess and look at it and look at it and look at it, then it keeps creating. Whereas if we just see it as something that's moving through, that's clearing out, and we just relax and we let it go, it can actually move really quickly. It doesn't have to calcify. So again, we're creating all of this so we can create the fast movement too, because that's actually what it wants to do. The more we can, again, be playful and aligned with the truth is that energy is just moving. It's moving, and we can create it into form. And we get to choose what we want to create into form. So if something's coming in that you don't want to create into form, just say, no, it's not the reality I'm choosing to create. Let it move through you, because it's going to be clearing you and the collective and your ancestry as well. So there's service in it coming to you, but don't hold on to it if you don't want to create it, right? Focus on what you want to create. And often that's in an instance like that, then we can turn it around and be like, what I want to create is the release of this for me and for all of humanity, for the highest and best of all concerned. Use it in service, use it as a prayer and a purge and a clearing, right? But always commanding your reality and choosing what is the highest, most audacious command I can put into the field. Because why would we go for anything less? Why would we go for anything less just because we've been conditioned to? Why have we been conditioned to? So that we can be good slaves, so we can be good slaves, and we're coming out of that. So okay. So let's see. Oh, interesting. So the Five of Cups. The Five of Cups is coming through right now as an emptying out. Let me clarify that, because it is, it is a lot of emotions. It can be loss. It can be grief. It can be regret. It's the things that we're clearing. Let me see why this is coming up. And obviously in contrast to, if you have stuff like this coming up, you can want to feel really depressed and really, it can, again, calcifying in that energy, but allowing a bit of playfulness coming with this as well, where it's like, oh, good, I'm clearing something right now. I'm purging something right now. I'm releasing something right now. Having that higher perspective along with it. Yeah, the higher perspective, the high priestess, exactly. So just seeing, again, exactly what I was saying, seeing through that highest level, no matter what it looks and feels like, even when it is very heavy, or there's purges, or there's things going on that are very uncomfortable, rather than going to the worst case scenario and calcifying that. Some people do that. My daughter does that. She always goes to the worst case scenario and she kind of catastrophizes just to kind of like clear out the whole way. So that can be part of the process, where you have to entertain it all and get yourself in a real good pit of mire, and then pull yourself out, and you're clearing that. So sometimes that's what's called for it as well. But just viewing everything in the context of it being in service, because that victim lack and limitation consciousness is not the path of evolution, and the crunch time is upon us. The crunch time is upon us, and I'm sure you're feeling that within yourself too. Like any amount of scrambling in the old energy to solve problems is not working anymore. It's just going to become very painful. So okay. Exactly, the Three of Coins. So this is a card of collaboration. It's also soul contract, and this comes up a lot in the readings, where like this is the part that you're meant to play. I think I'm going to leave this a shorter reading because my daughter is going to be home soon, and I did talk a lot and I said a lot of things. But again, so the Three of Coins, the Three of Pentacles, collaboration. This is the soul team. This is all of us working on this. So the more of us that can work on this, through our own tool, our own part of the diamond, we're all chiseling away at a different part, and we're creating this collective diamond. So we're attending to our mission. And again, I was talking about some people dismantling a lot of fear around survival right now, around money, other people doing it around health, or whatever it is that you're clearing within yourself or within your lineage, within your Akash, doing that being your piece, and all of us also doing the work of coming into our co-creation, where we're viewing through that higher level, we're viewing through that higher lens, and contributing to the creation of this new earth. So it's that finesse of when you come up against that which you're clearing, to do it with your mastery, to do it as if it's a mission, because it is, and it's what you signed up to do. So remembering who you are, and then this playfulness comes in, because it's not that you're burdened and you're cursed and you're like, it's this whole thing of like doubt and fear are liars. It's a program and it's a lie. And so, if you're bringing doubt and fear into this energy, you can remember, you can remember that you came here to infiltrate this energy with higher consciousness. And then life becomes playful, because it's like you're on your mission, you're doing what you came here to do. And you're doing it with others. You're doing it with others, whether you've met them or you collaborate with them or not. Even just listening today, we're collaborating, and we can get into this joyful, mirthful energy where it's all a game. It's all a game, and we're playing it well. We're choosing to play it well. And yes, the density has to be cleared. It has to be cleared from ourselves and from our lineages and from all of that. And it's clearing now at an exponential rate. We've done so much clearing. A lot of people have been doing clearing. Again, I always talk about this for 5, 10, 15, 20 years or more, some of you maybe even more, and there's been enough groundwork laid that it's going faster now. It's exponential, and more people are coming on board, and it's not as hard. There's a whole group of us. And so I think this came up in the last reading too. Maybe it was the Three of Cups, which is more of like a celebratory collaboration type of energy, but also indicating the mission and the group of us doing this now together, communing with this reading, and with this bringing our consciousness together at this time, and claiming it, anchoring and claiming the reality that we're defragging these fear programs. We're defragging these systems. They might keep coming at us, and they might keep being thrown at us, but like laughing in their faces, like, I see you, you have been seen, and now you're tagged throughout the entire etheric realm, and other people might not see the tag, but they're going to feel it. You're going to have less power. Mwahaha, and the joy in that, the joy in that, because this is when it crumbles, where this representing that false reality that wants to scare you and put you in misery and depression is losing its power, its power. And you might be seeing that in people in your life who used to really be puffed up and have a lot of power over people, and have destroyed lives, and have a lot of miscreations that created a lot of heartache, are not able to get away with it anymore. It's like everything has fallen away. It's like a ghost town. It's like a ghost town. And so I'm being a little bit coded here, and I'm speaking a bit from my personal experience. If you have been following me for a while or listening to these, you might know what I'm talking about. I'm just being careful. But yeah, it's like you might be noticing that, which is a real indicator, if it's happening in your individual life, that it's collective as well. Because some of these people seem like they would always win. they would always win, and they would always make everyone around them lose. And it's just not happening anymore. It's not happening on the wider scale as well. No matter what it looks like, if you feel behind to the energetic signature and you read the energy rather than certainly the media or certainly the hive mind programming around things that are going on, and you just tune into the energetics behind, you're going to get a completely different view. Wow. So the last card that I'm going to do, and then I'm going to scatter, is the Council, and that's a number 11 card, and a frequency of threshold and walking through a gateway. And so this Council energy, there's kind of a lot of this with the High Priestess. So there's that higher energy, and here's this team, this collaboration energy, but it's really pulling in the guides and the higher aspects of ourselves, really the higher aspects of ourselves, going up through sorry, this is just like fixing myself, going up through to the highest level that we can reach, where we can access all of ourselves and pull all of ourselves down through our creations without having any of it leaked off through these sphere programs, and just not allowing them. Because when it comes in, remember, it feels like this, and it goes like this, and you feel that in your body, and you're just like, no, that doesn't feel like how my guides feel. That doesn't feel how my true energetic signature, when connected with all that is, feels. And so I renounce that, and I revoke it, and I kick it out, and I purge it out of my body, however I need to do that, and releasing and allowing. And so this coming through as the last card in our reading, we are being ushered through. This also reminds me of the Atlas energy and the interstellar assistance, all of that representing, again, those higher aspects of ourselves, carrying us through this transition as we're anchoring, and more and more of us stabilizing in this the garden energy, the truth of reality. It's so supported right now. It's so supported. And so having the courage and the focus to wipe it out of your eyes, and see clearly and claim your reality. So I am going to end there, since my daughter is going to be home any minute, and I haven't seen her for a little while. So thank you for joining in consciousness. Thank you for listening and communing and relating. I always love to hear synchronicities or things that resonate, or anything that you feel to share, as we anchor energy and build a community together in that way as well. And and feel free to reach out if you would like support through a reading, FaceTime. I don't remember if I mentioned this last time or not, but I also do recorded readings for people. Some people want to interact, and I think I did say this last time. I'll just say it again. They want to interact, and we kind of powwow together and go back and forth, and read and this and that. And some people just want a straight channel, especially if the questions are really specific or if they're really intense. They just want a straight channel on it, and then I record it and send it to you. So just know that those are options if you're out of town. And if you are in town, Mystic is renovating, so I'm not going to be down there for, I don't know, it could be a few months, but I have started doing readings out of my home, and also sessions, energy sessions, bodywork, hands-on energy sessions, hands off, but on. I had somebody come the other week, and I was like, oh, do you want an energy session? She said yes, but she thought she was getting a reading. So she was like, oh, I'm going to lay down, and oh, should I take off my shoes? And she loved it. It was like just perfect cosmic setup. But I realized that people don't always know what I mean by energy sessions. It's energy work. on the body. So anyway, just knowing that that is available, should you feel called, please reach out. So, all right, I will see you next time if I do, and much love to you all.